Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Now let's see how we can add rows to and remove rows from a data frame, and again how we can change values of existing rows within a data frame. So let me again take you back to where we are doing our coding. So here we want to add and remove rows of a data frame, but before then I mentioned that I will come back and show you how we can replace the values of a given column. So what happens here initially, this was a string, and when I wrote here np.none, initially I was writing here np.none mean null values. Then I was running this, I was trying to make this one, I changed the values of none to 0. But remember, the null values within Python code is a default, is a property within Python code. So initially it was not there within the data frame. Even if I use this none, this is a string, is still a string, is not the null values as per the property that exists within the Python functions and tools. So here we need to, instead of using np.none, I was supposed to use the string as it is, as none, and then we replace with the zeros. We replace the none with the zeros. So down here now you can see we have the area code is now 000 as opposed to none as we initially had. So that was for the previous video. So I hope now we are good to go. So let's talk about the rows. So again, I will delete all this. We'll delete all this other code. So now I want to talk about adding a column first. Let me just delete all this. So we want to talk about adding rows to a data frame. So to add row to a data frame, what we need to do, we'll say like this one. Now we have, let me run the code first to see the data frame that we have. So let me print df. So this is the original data frame. So now we want to add a row at the end of this data frame, meaning the next row should be row 6. But instead of putting the row label to 6, we just want to say down here I want to say df, in bracket I want to write t. So t is a letter, so it has to be used as a string. E is equal to, so I want to add a row with the 0 values, so I can just say 0. Then down here we'll come and put I will print df. So again, when I print df, you'll see what we have as our new data frame. So the t is not there, but let me write this one as df t is equal to 0. Is not there. So what about if I write 6? Okay, it's 0, but here I write 6. I think there's something I'm not doing correct again. So let me try to print again. I think we are missing the property lock for 6. Instead it is adding to the column instead of the row. Let me see if I use lock dot lock equal to that, then run it again. So now we can see we have the next row. So with the row we must use lock instead of using it without lock. If when you use it without lock, it means that we are adding a column as we were doing before. So we must add lock the df then with the subscript. So here I've written I wrote it as 6. So let me label the row as T. So now we can see T. We have T. The row T is zeros, and again I can also add another row. F dot lock. Then we also want to put X. Is equal to 2. Then when I print now, you can see we have X is equal to 2, and then the row label is X and T. So again we can also change the values of a given row. So like now when I want to change the values of row T, I want to use name, I want to use the country and all that. So what I will come and do here to change the values, let me just write it down here. Changing the value of a given row. Of a given row, not given row. So down here what I will do, I'll come and say df lock df.log df.log, then here we'll write T is equal to, I want to change the values of T. So T, the first one was 0, so here I want to write the name as Nick. So the name is Nick. Then the country is Tanzania. We have age is equal to 36, and then the income for this guy, age is a numerical data, so I'll use 36 as opposed to using a string. So the income again is a numerical data, so here we'll write maybe $42,000, and then the marital status, the guy is married, and then children, he has 3. So the same I can do to same to x. So here we'll write Festus is coming from US. Is 41. He has 43,000. He's married and he has 4 children. Okay, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So now down here I can come down here and run and print df. We want to see if df has changed to our new data frame. Now you can see in where the st, the row 2 and the row x has been changed to new values. And again we can also reindex the data frame, because our index is starting from 0, 1, 2, 3. Maybe you want consistency in terms of the number indexing. Again, you can come down here and say, df is equal to df dot reset index. So when we reset index, we'll see another column with the current index will be created in the new data frame. We'll be having 7 columns with this reindexed column. So let me try to print df, see how it looks like. So down here again, I will try to print blank space, then run. So now you see after reindexing, we have another unnecessary index here, because I wanted this data frame to have ascending order of the index. So what we can do again here, we can now deal away with this index by dropping the index. So we can do it down here, drop index, or we can as well just come and do it up here. But let me just do it down here so that we can see what is happening. So let's say again df is equal to df dot drop in bracket. So I'm dropping index, and the axis equal to 1. So the axis is equal to 1 because we are dropping a column. Then down here I will say print df. Let me create a space up here. Print so let's see what we have. So this is a new df. Then now you can see we've reindexed our data frame, and then here we were reindexing, then we also dropped the index. Again down up here we were adding rows, then we'll also change the values of those rows as we wanted. So we've added rows and we've changed the value of the rows. we've reindexed the data frame. So let's again talk about how to drop index. Not how to drop index, but how to drop rows. So now I want to drop the row 3. The row 3 is row where we have dash. So we'll come here and say df is equal to df dot drop, then in bracket I want to drop no, I'm not dropping like that. What I need to do, and that will be a code for dropping a column, but I want to drop an index. I want to drop a row. Yes, I think it's the same thing. So it's the same principle. So it is df is equal to df dot drop, in bracket I want to drop the row labeled 3. So I will write here 3. Then I'll come down here and print df. So here again I can create another space, print. I'm printing a blank space. By doing this, I'm printing a blank space. Now you can see we don't have this other row 3, so we have 0, 1, 2, there's no 3, we go to 4. So we've dropped a row. But here the axis now is 0, but when you don't write the axis is equal to something, by default the axis will be taken as 0. Like now you are supposed to write that axis is equal to 0 because we are dropping rows, the axis is 0. But even if you don't write axis is equal to 0, by default the row the Python code will assume that we are dropping the values of a given row. So we'll just drop that row. So that's how to drop a row. And else can we talk about? So you see now we can change the values of a row, drop a row, and add a row, reindex a column. What else? We can also determine the number of rows that we have. Let's say maybe you had quite a big data set and you want to know the number of rows that you are having. So you can come down here and say so this was dropping rows, so let me just write here dropping rows. Then up here we have dropping reindexed column. Then here was resetting index, resetting index or reindexing. Okay. So this was changing the values of a given row, dropping index column, dropping rows. So we are talking about, we are saying that you can also know how the number of rows that you have. If you have a big data frame and you like to know how many rows you have within that data frame, what you'll do, you'll come and say maybe rows is equal to rows is equal to df rows is equal to df, and the rows go to df shape, and then because we are dealing with rows, it has to be 0 df dot shape, then the subscript, and we use 0. So 0 means that we are looking for the number of rows. So let's print this variable called rows. Here we can write knowing the number of rows in a data frame. Okay, again I can also create another blank space. Now when we print, you can see the number of rows that we have. Yeah, it's 7. Okay, let's assume that you want the number of rows of this other, so that the df1, this was the data frame from the budget from our Excel. I want to come here and write df1 equals to df1. I want to see the number of rows. And see the number of rows at 28. The same applies to when you want to check knowing the number of columns. So you'll come down here again and say so here we'll write columns. Let's write calls to mean columns. Then here also calls mean columns. So here we'll write df1, here knowing the number of columns. So here instead of 0 we'll write 1 because we are dealing with columns. So it's df1 dot shape dot 1. So now this one is df1, the one that has come from my Excel workbook. When we print now, we have 8 columns. Let me try df. This should give us 6 columns. Yeah, 6. So that's how to know the number of columns, the number of rows as well. Dealing with quite a big data set. So let's stop at that, and when we come back we'll talk about something else, but still based on Dataframe for financial statements automation. But remember, initially I was talking about how variables can change, and you've seen here I'm using df is equal to, I'm changing something within the code, and then we're again printing df. So the df is a data frame, and then you said that the variables can keep changing time by time. So this we'll use them when we are doing we'll see quite a lot of this when we are doing the financials for the monthly income statement. So thanks a lot for watching, and please do subscribe if you haven't, and if you have, thanks a lot for watching, and thanks a lot for being with me for the entire time. So let's meet again on the next video as we continue with the important functions for financial automation.